The United States Supreme Court has made a major decision on gun rights. In an 8-1 ruling, the court upheld a federal law that stops certain people from owning guns, specifically, those under a domestic violence protective order. This decision clarifies that the Second Amendment, right to bear arms, is not unlimited. The majority opinion, written by Chief Justice John Roberts, pointed to a long American tradition of disarming those considered dangerous. The court followed its own framework from the 2022 Bruin case, requiring new gun laws to have historical roots. By finding a historical basis for disarming dangerous people, the court declared the modern law constitutional. This sends a clear message. The government can restrict gun ownership to protect public safety. Many groups working to prevent domestic violence and gun violence praise the ruling as a vital step to protect vulnerable people. However, some gun rights supporters argue it unfairly removes rights from people not convicted of a crime. Justice Clarence Thomas dissented, saying there's no direct historical parallel for disarming someone based only on a civil protective order. His dissent highlights ongoing divisions over how to interpret the Second Amendment. Still, the strong majority shows consensus that public safety can justify limits on gun rights. This ruling will guide lower courts as they consider other gun laws. The balance between individual rights and community safety remains central to the gun debate. The Supreme Court's decision marks a significant moment in defining the boundaries of the Second Amendment. The Supreme Court's decision directly addresses the deadly link between domestic abuse and firearms. By upholding the federal ban, the court strengthens protections for survivors. For many living in fear, a gun in the house is a constant threat. The ruling confirms that removing guns from those under protective orders is both legal and necessary. It empowers judges to issue firearm restrictions, knowing they have the Supreme Court's backing. But the real challenge is enforcement. Protective orders are only effective if abusers actually surrender their guns. Many abusers ignore orders, leaving survivors at risk. For the ruling to save lives, states and local law enforcement must ensure guns are removed. Without strong enforcement, the legal victory may not change daily realities for those in danger. Now the focus shifts to states and police to make these protections real. Texas highlights the challenges of enforcing gun restrictions for domestic abusers. Despite the Supreme Court's ruling, Texas lacks a statewide process to ensure abusers surrender firearms. Judges can order guns surrendered, but there's little follow-up or accountability. Survivors often feel unprotected, as abusers may keep their guns without consequence. Efforts to strengthen enforcement have stalled in the Texas legislature, where gun rights are fiercely defended. This leaves a dangerous gap. Protective orders may offer little real safety. Without state-level enforcement, federal law's impact is limited. Experts warn that unless states act, survivors remain at risk. The contrast between strong legal rulings and weak enforcement is stark. Many wonder if the system will ever truly protect them from gun violence. California takes a much stricter approach to enforcing gun laws for domestic abusers. When a protective order is issued, abusers must surrender their guns within 24 hours and provide proof to the court. This system creates real accountability and immediate risk reduction for survivors. California's model shows that enforcement is key. Laws only work if they're backed by action. The state's proactive approach is credited with lower firearm mortality rates compared to places like Texas. Advocates point to California as a blueprint for effective gun safety. The Supreme Court's ruling confirms such laws are constitutional. The question is whether other states will follow California's lead. Strong enforcement can turn legal protections into real safety. Another major gun rights case is heading to the Supreme Court, this time about carrying guns on private property. Hawaii's law requires gun owners to get permission before bringing firearms onto private property, reversing the previous default. Gun rights groups argue this makes self-defense rights nearly impossible to exercise in public spaces. They say it's unrealistic to seek permission from every business owner. Supporters of the law argue it protects property owners' rights to decide what's allowed on their premises. The Ninth Circuit upheld Hawaii's law, siding with property rights. The Supreme Court will now decide how to balance gun rights with private property rights. The ruling could set a nationwide standard for carrying guns in places like malls and restaurants. The decision will have broad impact, especially in states with similar laws. The court will again look to history to guide its decision. In another unanimous decision, the Supreme Court protected U.S. gun manufacturers from lawsuits by foreign governments. The case, brought by Mexico, argued that American gun makers should be liable for violence caused by guns smuggled across the border. The court ruled that federal law shields gun companies from such lawsuits, just as it does within the U.S. This was a major victory for the firearms industry, preventing a wave of international lawsuits. The decision underscores the strong legal protections gunmakers enjoy under the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act. All 9 justices agreed, sending a clear message about the law's reach. The ruling highlights how difficult it is to hold gun manufacturers accountable for crimes committed with their products. This legal shield remains a key point of debate in the gun control conversation. The Supreme Court's decision reinforces the special status of the gun industry under federal law. The Supreme Court's recent rulings go beyond guns, shaping many aspects of American life. The court is actively defining the limits of federal law and constitutional rights. Many decisions have been unanimous, showing common ground on complex issues. These rulings affect businesses, religious groups, and everyday legal disputes. The court's work balances individual rights with public safety and community interests. The gun ruling shows the court is willing to limit rights to protect the vulnerable. This principle of balancing rights and safety will guide future legal battles. The Supreme Court's decisions continue to shape the relationship between individuals and society for years to come.